The track list for the soundtrack on Halloween Ends has just been released, and also we have an update on the sequel to X, MaxXxine. Let's get into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about MaxXxine, the sequel to X, but also, and mostly what this video will be a Halloween Ends update, giving some theories and some speculation based off of the track list for the soundtrack that was just released today. And maybe you're someone who doesn't really care about MaxXxine, the sequel to X. Well, no worries, there's chapters on this video, so you'll be able to skip right past that, all to the Halloween stuff, but it's there for those who want it. Now, before we get into all of these updates, I'm gonna need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. I would greatly appreciate that. So last night at 3 in the morning, we got some really exciting news for X fans and also people who are really excited for Pearl coming out this week. I'll have a review of that Friday, by the way. We just got the news that A24 has officially greenlit the sequel to X and to Pearl, titled MaxXxine with 3 X's. The announcement came to us in a bit of a teaser trailer here, released over on A24's YouTube page, where it's essentially the Hollywood sign, but it says MaxXxine with a triple X right in the middle. It kind of confirms two things about the film, as well as this deadline plot description that I'm about to read to you, that the film will be set in 1985 in Los Angeles and will follow MaxXxine's character from X as she becomes an adult movie star over in Hollywood. Deadline reports Mia Goth will be back and reprising one of the 2 roles she played in X. Obviously that's MaxXxine, and it follows her after the events of X as the sole survivor who continues her journey towards fame, setting out to make it as an actress in 1980s Los Angeles. Now this plot description does say actress, but considering the fact that there's 3 X's in the title, and I don't think that's just referring to the fact that this is technically X3, I think it's also referring to the fact that she's probably gonna be getting into some porn acting. That would be a really funny and consistent theme throughout these movies, especially if there's some kind of sex scene in Pearl, which I'm honestly kind of expecting from the movie, oddly enough. I don't think it's going to be like centered around that, like how X was and how I'm assuming MaxXxine will be, but Pearl I feel like is going to touch on that a little bit, just because it was such a huge part of that original movie. Ty West, who will be writing and directing this 3rd entry into his franchise, told Bloody Disgusting earlier this year, part of the idea of this movie that's cool to me is that there is a bigger thing to it all. What I can tell you about Pearl, because we've already made it and it's done, is it is very much a story about Pearl, so you will learn more about her. It is stylistically very different from X. You do not need one without the other, but they enrich each other in a specific way. In the way that X is affected, let's say, by 1970s horror, independent filmmaking, and American cinema, Pearl is influenced by a very different era of filmmaking. If we do the 3rd one, it will be affected by a different type of cinema. So a few things he confirms there. Obviously, this is a quote from before we had even seen the Pearl trailer at first, unless you saw X in the theaters and waited until after the credits and got to see it early, or maybe you saw it on YouTube like a couple of months later. But essentially, Pearl is going to feel much more like The Wizard of Oz, or an old school movie like that, like during the Technicolor age. Contrary to that, MaxXxine is going to feel much more like a 1985 slasher movie would be my guess. I mean, that's undeniable from the teaser trailer we got today that looks like you just popped in a VHS tape of some old school slasher movie you've never heard of, and you're about to see some girl kick some ass against some crazy slasher villains. But that kind of takes me to my next point. Who is MaxXxine going to be fighting against in this new movie, or is she herself going to be the slasher killer this time around? With the duality of Pearl and Max's characters having very similar motivations, and they are similar characters to begin with, they're also portrayed by the same actress, I could see Mia Goth's MaxXxine becoming like an evil character in this new movie, but I think it would be much more interesting if she takes a different route than Pearl, making the characters essentially having the same motive, but going down different paths in life. Something that's already been set up in X is that Max is the daughter of this preacher that we see on television throughout the entire movie. So wouldn't it be cool if MaxXxine is maybe trying to make it in the industry here, as she's also being chased by this religious group led by her father? Imagine a bunch of zealots coming after her this entire movie, trying to take her down, trying to kill her, doing whatever they can to stop her from destroying her father's image. Image was obviously a massive theme of X. I'm assuming that's also going to correlate to Pearl that comes out this week. Like I said, I cannot wait for Thursday, baby. Oh, it's gonna be such a fun movie. And I feel like that's ultimately going to carry over into MaxXxine for what is going to be essentially the craziest fucking third act to this massive story. Whatever Ty West brings for us, though, in this third entry in his horror franchise, I am just unbelievably excited for it. Now, getting into this Halloween Ends update, we have some very exciting news today because the track list for the soundtrack has just came out. One song has already been released over on John Carpenter's YouTube page called The Procession, and it's a little suspenseful but also very final feeling. This song is listed as track 18 out of 20, and I'm assuming will probably be towards the very end of the film, the denouement, essentially after the big fights, because there's quite literally a track on here called The Fight. It's kind of hard not to assume that the procession is meaning a funeral. Someone has died. It's a very tragic, emotional moment here at the end of the film, which is then followed by a song called Cherry Blossoms. What's interesting about Cherry Blossoms, though, is that in literature, they represent the death of like something that was here for only a short amount of time. Cherry blossoms don't last very long after they bloom, so it's something that like you can see for a little while, but then it's gone. So my crazy conspiracy theory is that maybe this is in reference to a younger character dying here. Sure, we can point to Corey or whoever the fuck Jeremy is. I have no idea who that is, just from the top of this list. We'll get to that in a second, but I would 100% assume that maybe this is in reference to Allison Nelson possibly dying at the end of this film. Something I've been speculating for a while now is that maybe Laurie Strode lives at the end of this, but Allison dies, which would be super tragic for Laurie and would make for a bittersweet ending here at the end, even if she does kill Michael. Like, let's just say theoretically, yeah, she kills Michael here, but at what price? She lost her entire family in the process. As disappointing as that may sound to some, I'm kind of looking forward to a bittersweet ending. I don't want this to be all sunshine and rainbows. I think the best ending to a horror movie is one that is either ambiguous or bittersweet. I'm kind of hoping something dark like that happens here instead of killing Laurie, because that would just be so expected. If they kill someone like Allison, that would be kind of heartbreaking. She's honestly one of my favorite characters of all of the new characters they've introduced here. It would almost be a tearjerker ending if they decided to kill her here at the end. But wow, there is more things to talk about in this track list. I have so many questions after this, and one of them is, where the fuck is Jeremy? Where is he? Now, the track list may be asking, where is Jeremy? But the real question is, who is Jeremy? Well, currently over on the cast list, nobody has the name of Jeremy, but if you remember from a little while ago, Nick Castle said that he does play yet another character besides Michael Myers in this new upcoming film. So maybe Nick Castle is the opening kill of the ending film in this timeline, which would be pretty fucking cool. A couple tracks later were followed by The Cave and Drags to the Cave, which kind of answers the question of where the fuck Michael has been this entire time. A cave. But I'm still holding out for that rat biting scene because rats do live in caves as well as sewers. It's their second favorite place to be. I'll cite my source there of Ricky the Rat, who lives in the storm drain outside of my house. Track 9 is Requiem for Jeremy, once again just solidifying that he's the opening kill here. We're remembering Jeremy is what that means. So yeah, I think he's dead. Track 10 is Kill the Cop, which makes me worry that Hawkins does not have long for this world, but we'll just have to see. What's fascinating there, though, is track 11 is Corey and Michael. So maybe people's theories here about Corey killing people is true, and he kills Hawkins on the scene as Michael Myers. Obviously, I'm going to need a lot of explanation if Corey is going to be the one to kill Hawkins here. I need to know why or what the fuck is going on there, but it's kind of seeming like that could be the case here because it's, once again, immediately followed by Corey and Michael, with Corey's Requiem after that. Track 15 is Bye Bye Corey, where probably the death of Corey Cunningham will happen to nobody's surprise, which is then followed by The Fight, which perfectly lines up with my theory that Corey Cunningham was only written into this movie to bring Michael Myers and Laurie Strode together. Something that was set up in Halloween Kills, and honestly Halloween 2018 too, is that Michael is not going after Laurie. I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I still get comments sometimes saying Michael is going after Laurie. What are you talking about? To that I would respond with, watch those last two movies again. And I've already talked about The Procession and Cherry Blossoms, but there is another song here that I find pretty interesting right before all of that called Before Her Eyes. Once again, kind of solidifies my theory about how I think that Allison is going to die in front of Laurie, which will then motivate Laurie to go and kill Michael. Obviously, she already has some decent motivation to want to kill Michael Myers, but I think that adrenaline boost of seeing your granddaughter get murdered in front of you is probably going to be the thing that ultimately gives her the upper hand here. And the death happened before her eyes? See what I did there? Yeah, okay, there you go. This video's going on for way too damn long, but what do you guys think about all of this and this track list? Do you think I maybe am onto something, or are you guys wearing your tinfoil hats because I sound like a fucking madman? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this brand new Halloween Ends update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. If you want to support this channel further, you can become a Patreon supporter or a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.